From Ashes to Embers. Written by Courtney Green. Year 1616. Why is he so blue? It's the only question entering my young mind while staring at my father lying still on the forest floor. His eyes look funny, a glaze of white over what should be blue irises staring back at me. His mouth is stuck open, and no matter how much I attempt to shake him, he doesn't move. Unlike when I creep into his bedroom in the mornings and shake him awake, only the disheveled dark locks on his head moves in the wind. "Mama!" I cry into the night, my voice echoing between the trees as tears stain my face. I don't know what is happening, but I know something's wrong with Papa. If I can find Ma, she'll know how to fix it. She always does. Bringing my hands away from his chest, I notice something sticky on my palms. Investigating my hands, a gasp leaves my lips as my eyes widen, realizing it's blood. His coat is too dark to notice he's bleeding unless you touch him. After a few moments of shock, I realize I need to get help. Climbing to my feet, stumbling over the hem of my dress, I run down the path to look for Mama. Where has she gone? I wish I didn't ask the question when something under the thick fog on the path trips me. Landing hard, scraping my hands against pebbles on the ground, my eyes land on my mother's. They're lifeless and similar to Pa's. I don't move for a while. I'm unsure how long. My breath is so fast, heaving with my chest as I begin feeling dizzy. An intrusion of dread washes through me. "Mama?" I whisper, my voice cracking as I hope she'll blink and answer me. She doesn't. There's blood running from a gaping wound across her neck and down her dress. Her crown's gone from her head, and I stare in horror when a fly comes out from her mouth, between her dark lips. She doesn't look pretty like she usually does. She isn't greeting me with a smile and that warm hug. She isn't breathing. A sudden grip on my shoulder causes my screams to echo off of the trees, until a familiar voice enters my ears and I have a few moments to process it. "Serina, it's me." Pulling on her dress frantically until I'm able to throw my arms around her legs, I look up to meet her eyes. "Aunt Ingrid, help them," I beg, watching her sad eyes look from me back to Mom. "I am afraid I cannot. They are with our Dark Lord and Lady now." I'm too young to register this, only left confused and frightened by this explanation. I know our Lord and Lady, but how are they with them? They reside in the underworld, and Mom and Dad are right here. When death is introduced to us for the first time, it steals the innocence. Ingrid murmurs, brushing my hair back. "Death? They are dead? They aren't coming home with me then. Mama says death is when you don't come back here." My tummy feels sick and the dizziness intensifies in my head. I swear I'm gonna fall over even if I'm already on the forest floor. "Don't worry, darling." She squats to lift my quivering chin under her knuckle, looking me in the eyes. "I will take care of you. That way you don't have to leave your house and the bad men won't take you away to the orphanage," she promises. Loud howls from the wolves cry out in the near distance, breaking on Ingrid's gaze from mine for a moment. "We must go, or those lycans might come back to hurt us too." She takes my little hand, leading the way back to the village. The coming years are hell on earth. As each birthday passes, my time with my aunt becomes more unbearable, her cruel nature taken out on me, starting with my family home and later moving to me. There is no love, no trust when it becomes clear to me the older I get that there's something not right about Ingrid. Her comments about my mother are mean, and even harsher when she speaks about my father. Randomly, she goes on angry rants, beating on me for looking so much like her, especially after a night of drinking whiskey. There are no tears allowed to be spilled under her roof. That causes more beatings, more lashing out. Eventually, I learn to tuck away my heart, hiding what I truly feel until it becomes easy to be just as ruthless as her and those around me, just as cold as what the world has shown me. On my 17th birthday, I make a promise to myself, a goal helping me channel the rage I feel inside to bring me the slightest comfort. I promise I'll find out who killed my parents, suspecting it might be the lycans, like my aunt told me years ago, but more suspicious of my aunt by her looming hatred towards me and my parents. This fact drives me, along with many other factors, drives the rage filling where a sensitive heart once beat, now blackened by hatred, pain, and the production of my environment. I want whoever made my life so bleak to feel what I feel when I do avenge my parents. Chapter 1, Year 1634. I am going to die if I slow down now, but my chest burns while my lungs feels like they will burst outside my rib cage at any moment now. I can try my luck with killing the beasts behind me right now, but it wouldn't be smart in the dark, claustrophobic forest. Fog thickly waves between the trees and swirls on the ground with each interruption of my steps. Imagine trying to see the horrid canine fangs as they snap at my body through the density of blindness the fog creates out here. And wolves are great ambush hunters after all, and these wolves have been trained by the hunters to kill the likes of me and my kind. With all that in mind, I am set on fighting them when it benefits me and my surroundings. Just a little further, just a little further. My doubt threatens to rise in my mind while my damned legs feel like they are made of glue when I need them to work properly now. The forest is a dangerous place, especially on the full moon, which is why I wonder why the hunters risked this endeavor tonight. Usually, I am one of the dangerous kind, stalking between the trees on these lands, not the other way around. But the bastards have incredible spelled trinkets which wanes our powers and gives them a one-up on us. To them, it's blessed by God. The reality is magic no matter what deity you worship. Yet they would condemn me with the rising heat of flames until I was nothing but ash for the same thing. Blessed crucifixes, blessed arrows, and such are an inconvenience to all of the damned. By damned, I mean people like me along with other creatures of the night. The ones talked about in tales designed to frighten children. And frightened they should be. These fucking dogs, trained by using the blood of those captured and tortured, so that they lust for our blood. We're easier to track that way, I guess. They're the real monsters and nightmares. The Inquisition. But so am I. My breath is visible in the cold fall air, and the only sound I hear besides the beast behind me is my own boots crunching on the dead leaves, the owl hooting from a dead branch nearby. I almost want to give up, taking my chances and fighting them here, until one of their howls behind me, a little too close, pushes more adrenaline through my body, forcing my will to keep going a bit further. Suppose they're telling their masters they located the witch. Pushing my body's limits, I force my pace faster until I break through the edge of the forest and into the clearing that leads to my garden. Stumbling over a root, I roll gracefully to my feet into the moon's light, my cloak trailing behind me, and into my territory now. Facing the edges of the trees, I watched the dark path expectantly. The fog makes it hard to see, but my faith in my abilities is tougher than the elements. Regardless, the wolves will emerge and I shall handle them promptly, hopefully before their masters have the time to track their whereabouts. Lifting my arms toward the sky, I draw in the moon's energy with the waving directions of my hands, fluent and very intentional. It takes seconds before they ignite with flames after saying the words needed in the language of the fallen ones. Something only a witch knows, and that which no human nor other can know besides the fallen. A gift from our dark lord and lady. The flames dance wildly, casting shadows over my face and waiting for my commands as the fog stirs. 5 animal silhouettes emerge from the thicket, slowly stalking towards me as I size them up. Growling ripples through the air and their hackles erect down their backs. They step into the moonlit grass, not far now, snarling, with their teeth exposed and drool splashing from their jowls as their eyes fix on me. I lock eyes with the one leading the pack who is closest to me. A silent understanding between beast and witch. One of us will die tonight, and it will not be me. Suppose the canine thinks the same. Without another thought, swaying my arms, I throw the fire at the lunging alpha, catching him midair with a swarm of flames. A loud yelping cry comes from him as he hits the grass with a loud thud, dissolving into bone and ash almost instantaneously. The others ignore it, closing in my direction, drawing more energy from the moon to feed the flames with the swift whirl of my arms. I will them to blanket any shapes jumping towards me when they all choose to attack at once. A smug, victorious grin curves my lips while I watch the 4 bodies burning on the ground. Hope it caused them great agony for even attempting to snuff the life from my body. Arrogant me thinks I'm the wickedest witch in the wood tonight. Naive me suddenly ends up on the ground, not understanding what's happening until I see what weighs my body down amidst the foggy grass. The flames I conjured disappear from my interrupted focus. I had missed one, and he's on me, tearing at my cloak. Bringing my arm up to shield my face, too stunned to think, he drops the fabric, choosing to sink his teeth into my arm instead. I cry out at the pain as his head shakes mercilessly, his teeth ripping at my flesh and mangling my arm more with each movement. My head screams, "Do something!" But thinking of anything besides this pain nagging at my bones right now is difficult. The harrowing shock of the creature's force sends a strong message. I may die after all this night. When the thought waves through my mind, my will takes over. Wrapping my legs around the wolf, I dig my knees into his ribs and shove my fingers up his nostrils and pull. He yelps, letting go of my arm. Twisting my hips with every ounce of strength I have, I throw him off of me, jumping to my feet to run towards my cottage. Blood gushes from the sickening wound as I hold it with my free hand, and my vision blurs, but I can see the lantern on the porch of my home in the small distance. Weakness blankets my limbs, and I think I'm gonna fall. If that happens, I'm dead. Don't give in, Serina, get home, my mind yells. The growls are closer to me, and my legs take over, driving me closer to my safe haven. The snapping of the jowls at the bottom of my cloak sends the fear of one wrong move, or slowing down at all, will result in instant death. By the time I reach the porch, sure I'm dog food. A blast of light catches me off guard, and I fall to the wooden planks on the porch floor, sinking into a dark void under the fog. When my eyes start to flutter open, a faraway voice catches my attention. "Serina. Hello?" It is known to me, but sounds so distant, until a sharp peck of a beak thrums my head and my eyes pop open, fully seeing the large raven, once he jumps from my head to the plank in front of me. I'm still on my porch. Godfrey, I choke, stirring my weight enough to sit on my knees. Wincing, I investigate the wound on my now cleaned and packed arm with a thick salve of herbs, moss, and sage covering the gashes. The wolf! I climb to my feet, head snapping around to look for any threats. What I find is more satisfying. The wolf's carcass of charred bones rests in the grass. I bend to pull the skull from his spine with a sickening crack as it severs away. A morbid reminder of how the wolf almost won this battle tonight. Yes, stupid. You're lucky I heard all the commotion. How many times do I need to tell you? The raven scolds, flying to my shoulder as I enter the house. I silently mouth the words as he speaks. Don't go out on any missions without me, especially on the full moon. He is pissed, and for good reason, I admit. Even if I am being a bit sarcastic about his lecturing, I'm grateful for my familiar. I won't be doing it again, promise you that. He tilts his head skeptically at me. Thanks for taking care of that monger for me. Fucking mutt. I sneer at the skull, tucking it under my arm. Godfrey makes a sound, as if being my familiar's the biggest pain in the ass. I guess that's an accurate judgment. The heat from the hearth is welcoming as I place the skull inside the flames. Then sitting on the rocking chair, which used to be my mother's, I should like to watch it burn since I missed it when my familiar turned him to bone. Godfrey flaps to rest atop of the skull on the mantel, eyeing me. I had to use most of your herbal stock. You have little left, but I would harvest before the first freeze. Snow's coming early this year. He warns, his beak following his twisting head as he studies the dried herbs hanging on the stone walls. Nodding, I pull my cloak away from my shoulders, letting it fall over the chair as I process the events that took place tonight. I almost had it, I angrily say through my gritted teeth. Squeezing the arm of the chair where raven skulls are carved into the wood, I push off my toes to rock it. Godfrey croaks. My guess is the hunters got there first and you ran into them at the tree. I nod, wondering how the hunters knew about the hive's hidden trinkets of protection. And near a sacred tree, no less. This makes the fifth and last relic of the witches they've gotten their dirty hands on. Finding one or two, I can understand, even though it's unlikely. But all of them within 2 weeks? Impossible unless... We have a traitor in the hive, Godfrey, I say, scrunching my nose as if there's a bad smell in the air. I'm considered solitary, but still part of the hive. The hive is the collective of witches in any city or village, whether you're in a coven or not. It is how we are governed by witch laws. It isn't illegal not to be initiated in the coven, but it is frowned upon. Yet this is the very reason I won't trust a witch, nor enter the coven. A witch's nature's cutthroat. Smile at your face while plotting against you at the same time if it pushes our agendas. We're only loyal to the magical causes, protection of the hive, and our laws, and by law we mean our queen. It gets lonely, as you can imagine, and without my loyal demon, I may have gone mad as a hatter a long time ago. Sure, I crave connection, but that requires trust. A gift I cannot afford to give. It is a lesson a witch and a woman learns at an early age. The Inquisition could have gotten the information from one of the charged. Some will say anything to stop the pain of interrogation, Godfrey says, brushing his wing over his head. Scoffing, my eyes meet his gold irises. Torture or not, we all know the law. He croaks back in agreement. By which law, if we are charged and can't hold our tongue through the tortures of interrogation, we all know before we betray the hive we use the words. A magical word, which operates as a kill switch. You speak them, your heart stops. A spell the queen put on the hive to protect the witches who still blend into our society. When it comes to the trials and rise of the Inquisition, it is every witch or warlock for themselves. Regardless, we are all expected to keep the secrets of our hive and obey witch law. Every witch fears being charged. What we fear more is the elders of the council if we betray our hive. Some punishments are worse than death, and at any time they want to get their hands on you, they will. Shaking my head, I think out loud. How would the hunters have known about the relics in the first place to even ask a witch about their location? And why would a witch give away all the relics? Godfrey nods. Good point. Flying to the arm of the rocking chair. The other question is, how will you protect yourself now without meeting the gallows or the pyre? They couldn't identify me under the hood of my cloak, Godfrey. It happened so fast. I think I'm safe. Pretty sure, at least. The first thing I did was twist away from their view. No more missions for Thurza or anyone for that matter. You must look out for yourself now after tonight. Gently I stroke his soft feathers, comforting myself with his energy. Thurza's scared after her daughter was burnt last week. She paid me well for the job. Wasn't taking it from the kindness of my heart. I was looking out for myself with coin. I explain, watching the flames sway over the skull in the hearth as the crackling from the wood soothes the atmosphere. But I agree, my friend. Do you need your feeding? I ask, ending the conversation. He shakes his head. I may or may not have drank from you earlier, he admits. I glare at him, shaking my head. What? Should I have let all the blood waste away on the ground? My lips curve while I give him one more stroke before standing. We have to go to the village tomorrow. Get some sleep. I watch him fly to his golden elaborate cage to get comfy inside for the night. Climbing to my own bed exhausted, I chant the glamour spell to hide my house for the night in case any hunters come looking for the dead wolves. With the security in place, I drift away into the astral for the night.